The most remarkable people that I study are not necessarily ones that I agree with spiritually, politically, or even sociologically. They might be Christians like Joan of Arc or Martin Luther King. They might be fellow Hindus like Paramahansa Yogananda or his disciple Swami Kriyananda. Or they might be philosophers like Socrates. But all of these different people encountered one thing: extreme resistance against the path that they were trying to follow. For Joan of Arc, it was the fact that she was a warrior and a general in a time when women were never heard of or allowed to be warriors or generals, most certainly. And Martin Luther King, he just wanted the same civil rights for African Americans that white people had in the United States, and he was willing to fight for it and stick to his idea of nonviolence despite the violence that he encountered. That was his extreme resistance. And when it comes down to fellow Hindus like Paramahansa Yogananda or Kriyananda, they encountered extreme resistance in the United States because of the fact that they were Hindu, but also the fact that they had different beliefs about Hinduism. Us being in Dwapara Yoga, for instance, instead of Kali Yuga. And now Kriyananda didn't come from India. I mean, he met Paramahansa Yogananda here. But when Paramahansa Yogananda died, Swami Kriyananda championed the equality among men and women spiritually, and also championed the ideas of being able to enlighten yourself, to work towards moksha yourself, and the method Kriya Yoga to do it. Whereas other disciples of Paramahansa Yogananda wanted to basically teach that only through an organization or through a guru can one achieve liberation, moksha, and Kriyananda fought against that. And when it comes down to Socrates, the extreme resistance that Socrates encountered was that he picked apart the belief system of the ancient Greeks that were at the top of the social hierarchy. He also questioned the idea of everything that the gods being good, and not necessarily it existing as a separate reality, the gods, but that the beliefs about the gods were foolish and illogical. And he believed in one God, and I believe in multiple and one God, but Socrates was killed for believing in one God and also questioning the social hierarchy, and he stuck to his guns to the last second, and he would not concede his points. He would not allow someone else to basically put words in his mouth, even to save his own life. That was the extreme resistance that he encountered, and despite the fact that he was executed, we have to realize that he still succeeded. He became the individual who conquered the extreme resistance by fighting until the end. And that's what matters a lot of the time. And of course, Martin Luther King Jr., he got killed, after a lot of the reforms that he wanted were passed, but it took a little bit longer for other reforms that he wanted to pass. But he may have died, but he did conquer the extreme resistance by sticking to who he was and never deviating from his path of nonviolence. And he was a Christian, and I'm Hindu, but I still admire somebody not just because of the fact that they fight for similar ideals that I believe in, and most certainly not because they're a different religion than me. I study remarkable people that I find remarkable because of the fact that they encounter extreme resistance, but fight against it and basically conquer it. Joan of Arc was eventually executed as well, but she was a warrior and a general as a woman, which was unheard of at the time till the very end. Now, when it comes to Paramahansa Yogananda, his inner strength was so great that I don't think that any resistance could get in his way, and it never really did. And he died giving a speech. Maybe a Dharma talk would be a better label for it, but he died exactly in the way that he wanted. So he must doing exactly what he wanted to spread the idea that we are all one, and we all have things to learn from each other, and that there is a greater compassion and a greater liberation beyond the material realm. And he died preaching that, literally, in the middle of at the end of a speech. He died exactly as he wanted to. That always struck me hard. But all of these people, they encountered extreme resistance and conquered it. And even if they died, they at least held to who they were. This is what we must do. We must fearlessly seek truth along the spiritual path, truth that makes sense to us. Everybody's truth is different, but don't shy away from something just because other people tell you that it's wrong or it's evil or oh that's not the way. Only this way. Only our way is correct. Seek freely. Allow your heart and the deepest part of your mind to guide you. That nagging sensation of insight that is springs from these different discoveries along the spiritual path. As far as when I found Hinduism, for instance, there was this kind of insightful understanding that I had struck the note that I needed to strike in my mind and in my understanding. To basically reverberate further down the spiritual path, and basically was a guide in going down the path in Hinduism, the particular path in Hinduism that I follow. And it was the same when I found the old gods of my ancient Northern European ancestors. Maybe not ancient, but old European ancestors. And there was something struck in me. There was this bell, this insight that reverberated along a path, and just for and a moment here and a moment there, I could see before me the path that I must walk, and I walked it, and I am walking it. I'm at the end of neither the path of Hinduism or working with the old gods, which are one to me, but for a lot of people they might seem dissimilar. I am by no means at the end of the path, or even see the end, but because of those original reverberations, because I was fearless in seeking the truth, fearless in trying to find a spiritual path or belief system that made sense to me, my heart and my mind, my logic and my compassion. Because of that, and because of that striking, both those kind of bells in my mind, if you will, if you want to continue this analogy, I was able to become the kind of person who isn't afraid because other people are afraid of, going to a hell that, Muslims believe you go to hell for this, Christians believe you go to hell for that, and there are plenty of other religions, even sects of Buddhism, believe that you go to hell if you don't recognize, the Dharma or the historical Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama. But these are fear tactics, and they take away from our personal search, and you should never let anybody take away anything from your personal search. You should explore in the realm of spirituality. You should go be outside of the box that people try to place around you. And I very much go against what my society believes. There's very few Hindus around here, and the ones that are around here are ones that came over from India and don't necessarily care about the spirituality of Hinduism. It's more about the repetitions of rituals, it seems, unfortunately. And I follow the old gods of my ancient Northern European ancestors. And I keep on saying ancient, but I don't know if they qualify as ancient. Everything's ancient, ultimately, if you go back far enough. But anyway, just a side note. And the gods have always existed in my mind. But there are very, very few people who, look to Odin as the All-Father. Or Word Wolf, as I also know him. Even fewer people would recognize him as Word Wolf. But or gods like Thor that I work with a little bit, and Freyr, who I work with a little bit more than Thor. But these are all considered pagan gods, heathen gods. And when people hear that, I look to them, I work with them, and I recognize them and their domain within existence. People don't usually say it to my face, but there's this always look that, oh, well, he's either crazy or he's going to hell. Very few people say it to my face. I'm a generally nice guy, but a lot of people don't really want to mess with me like that. But at any rate, my fearlessness along my spiritual path, and it is by no means absolute, has led me to a place where I'm spiritually content. And I want you to get where you're spiritually content. You don't have to worship the old gods. You don't have to be Hindu. You don't have to even believe in spirituality or religion at all. Be atheist, agnostic. But find a path to where you feel like you're going to follow this no matter what. That this is what you were meant to follow. This is the understanding. This is the truth of reality, of existence. And don't let anybody else tell you otherwise. Because if you follow the path that everybody else wants to point out in front of you, you'll be fumbling around in the dark like most people. And most people are fumbling around in the dark. Because spiritual paths aren't lit up unless we are lit up inside, unless our heart and the deepest parts, the most real parts of our mind are lit up. These are what illuminate the path before us. If we do not have compassion, if we don't have an element of logic, then we are fumbling along, crawling along to a destination somebody told us or is telling us is the right way to go. And you don't want to do that. At least I don't think you do. If you do, well, this isn't the video for you. But I don't want to do that. So, in conclusion, be fearless along your spiritual path. Don't let anybody else tell you what to believe. And if you're a little lucky and you put in a lot of effort, I guarantee you'll find the path for you. Or maybe even multiple paths. Paths that you see as one, but many people see as multiple. I'm in that same boat. But, hey, thank you very much for watching. I hope this was interesting. I hope it was informative. If you liked it at all, hit that thumbs up down there. It helps the channel. If you want to comment, you say you like this or you hate this, or you want to suggest something for a video, or you have a question, feel free to shoot it down in the comment section below. I'm always open to reading that comment section. I ignore trolls, but I rarely ignore anybody else. But yeah, I look forward to seeing you in the future, and walk your path as you see fit, brothers and sisters. Y'all have a great one.